So the question is, how do we salvage first impression? Is that what you're asking? Honestly, based on what I've encountered or stories I've heard, there's no point salvaging a first impression. You end up, most likely, I'm thinking from what I've tried or what I've seen or what I've heard, you end up looking like a tryhard. Like you either end up looking like a tryhard or you couldn't change anything. So why not just ditch the whole idea of salvaging the first impression and try to create new impressions?
Yeah, why not be a tryhard? Welcome back to Wise and Shine. I'm your host, Reggie, aka Your Chief Financial Coconut.
And I'm Dawn, SG Budget Babe. Today we have two guests on our show, and they are...
Hi, Rakaesh, part of the Coconut team.
Hi, my name is Sian. I'm the host for the Chinese Financial Coconut. I said English just now. Yes, like name is Li Chai. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So we continue our spiel on Wise and Shine. Thanks for coming on our show, right?
Thank you for having us.
We want to get different perspectives, right? So I think that's where we are going with, and it's always good to get new faces, because today we are going to talk about something very specific, which is first impressions, right?
About faces.
Of course. About faces, right? As literal as that. So what is the question that we're going with today?
The topic, right? Okay, so the topic for today is really how much do first impressions count? But yeah, let's start off with a fun one first. What was our first impressions of each other?
Sure.
Okay, you be the first one. We'll start with what was our impression of you, right? My first impression of you was actually all from Facebook. Because back then I knew of Reggie when he was posting about the financial coconuts on Facebook then. That was before he deactivated and closed his Facebook account.
No, I never deactivated. I just stopped using it.
Stopped using, okay.
Yeah.
So the picture looked, as I've told you before, much older. So I thought it was the uncle podcasting. Then I realized, hey, we same age.
You're not the only one. No, you're not the only. That's the thing. There was another show that they were building for a while, right? And then what's their genesis? Their genesis is this financial coconut thing can work, right? Then we can do a younger one, right? So that was
How young they want it to be.
Genesis. It's like this uncle can do a podcast, right? Then we can do a younger one and work lah. But too bad they dead, right? So it's gone, right? But that was people's genesis.
It shows that you need to update your profile picture.
Thank you. Yeah. So what is your impression of me then?
Well, mine was, what was it, over Instagram? I remember chit-chatting and I was like, okay, I like what the coconuts are doing. I want to know more. And we met. That was when we got in, we spoke, we were deciding what to do. I thought, hey, this is cool. Let's try something. Let's get that going. That's really my first impression.
Nice. And you stuck through. Thank you. That means the second, third impression also not too bad. What about you?
I met Reggie over a very casual lunch occasion where I was having lunch with Alan, the other host for the Chinese Coconut Show. Then he told me that tomorrow's lunch, I want to introduce you to a friend. And then we go for lunch, we sat down, Reggie came in. Okay, now we talk about first impression, right? Reggie is wearing his signature Decathlon shorts and
which my producer have said no. So that's why I'm starting to try to wear other things, right? Yes. Because Decathlon never sponsor, right? But if you sponsor, everybody will wear Decathlon stuff. Okay, continue, yes.
So he's wearing, I wasn't too clear, was it a sweater or a t-shirt? But it's something that is very, very plain. So the first impression in terms of appearance was this guy probably has figured out certain things in life where he don't really care too much about how people see him in appearance. That more first impressions started cementing when we started having conversations. So this guy really figured out quite some things in life. So that was my first impression of Reggie.
Thank you. And just saying they used to run their own show, right? Alan and Sian, they run another Chinese show of their own. And then I was traveling in Georgia, right? So I was traveling and that was quite a long time ago. And then they sent me, like Spotify always has a rap at the end of the year, like Spotify rap, right? And then they put their Spotify rap and then there was like, you have a 3% download from Georgia or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I am the guy that's the one guy that's been listening.
Wherever he's at, then you will get like instruction from that country.
From Turkey, from Georgia, because I was traveling, right? And I thought they got their chemistry together already. And then I was like, hey, how about you do a show with us, right? Which is like, essentially it's the same thing, just dive into a theme, right? Which is personal finance. In that case, right, just going one round, you really show that firstly, different people look at different things, right? And it also shows that I think the image is not always constant, right? Depending on who you're talking to, they form a certain impression of you, right? So how important is first impression to all of you then?
Very.
Yeah, I think first impressions, if we break it down, I think very, very important, right? Like, I remember reading somewhere that in the first 3 seconds, something like this, you will make an impression. You don't even need to speak to the guy, right? The way he carries himself, his non-verbal cues, all of these things is something that you do as subconsciously before even saying hi. You don't even know about it. So very, very important.
Like the moment you step into the room, people already started judging you.
Yeah,
That's how real it is.
Yeah, that's why I'm so afraid of networking events. I go like, oh my god, it's too much, guys. I cannot, right? So I just sit there in a corner with my own drinks, just chilling.
I actually enjoy looking at people doing what they're doing.
So you
At
need
the corner
people
in
watch.
social events.
People
Yes,
watch.
people watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you judge them?
Yes,
Yeah,
my
of
turn to judge.
So annoying. The other day I went for an event, right? I mean, we went for the event.
Yes.
And then I was trying to talk to some publishers, right? Some Mandarin publishers, right? I mean, they're big, like they're one of the biggest Mandarin publishers. They're only a handful. You know who, right? And then they just gave me that I don't really want to talk to you face.
The circle is closed. It's like four of them facing each other in like this cross setup.
To be fair, they're doing great work. They don't want to talk to us, it's okay. We kacang putih, right? But it just doesn't feel good. First impression, not very good. Right? Yeah, not great. But yeah, give us a little bit more. Like what is first? How do you formulate a first impression?
I think for me, a first impression would definitely be how the person looks, but not just in terms of whether they're good looking or not, but also how they dress, how well maintained personal hygiene they are. So someone can come in like really unkempt, never brush their hair, look like very oily, like Professor Snape kind.
Very flat.
Never wash. Professor Snape kind, right? I'll be like, so there'll be a
Professor Snape is a
certain...
great guy, just saying, but his first impression sucks. His first impression sucks, right?
You only realize his true colors in book 7.
Is it meant to suck, right? I think his first impression is meant to suck.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, so that's generally what I look at, like the person's overall, like the dressing, personal hygiene, and of course their looks, but to a lesser extent. But also because like when I was a kid, what I cared a lot was first impression in terms of the looks, right? I wanted to be friends with like the most handsome, most pretty girl. And then after that, as I grew older, and because I was not that pretty girl, I started feeling very self-conscious. I was like, why is everyone getting like privileges just because they're good looking, just because they're pretty or handsome? And then I started consciously not wanting to I don't purposely go and seek out or befriend the ones who are very good looking, but focus more on the personal hygiene and other aspects. So that slowly changed, and then as I grew up, that just kept along lah. Because sometimes I realized the prettiest person or the most handsome person may not be the nicest character. That was my personal
That has become a
experience.
stereotype, but maybe I'll challenge it later. What about you guys? How do you form your first impression? Not about me, but in general.
Yeah, like what do you look out for? Is it the same things that I look at?
Look out for the appearance a lot, but lesser on lesser on how good looking they are, more on are they dressing appropriately. So it's not well, good, or like branded or anything. Is this event, is this person dressed as appropriate for the event? The grooming matters more than what they are wearing, honestly. Like it shows to me at least how much they look after themselves. So if they look after themselves well, obviously they would be slightly better at looking after things compared to those that don't groom themselves well. So, and then if it's a professional, that it would be, do they carry themselves as what their profession is?
I like how you segment it into when it's not a professional setting versus for a professional,
You
you tend to
to
look
be like
at
super
different
well groomed,
ones.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
After work 30-hour shift, very hard to be well groomed. Just saying, don't please. We need some change there. I don't trust my doctor if they are on
He's like
30-hour
super
shift.
sharp.
And A&E, they do those kind of 30-hour. Do you all know? They got graveyard shifts.
36 or something.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
Crazy. It's very bad. Just saying,
Especially if they're in the emergency
please change it.
room.
Right? I want to trust the healthcare system a bit more. But yeah. What about you? Do you think?
Well, for me, I would say appearance doesn't matter to me, as you can tell.
Wait, appearance as in the looks or the dressing?
Looks, dressing doesn't matter. I think in terms of groomness, I would say yes. Like, okay.
Just groomness.
So
even me.
basically,
Everybody
have
is
you
Personal
basically
grooming lah.
are you clean?
How well you look after yourself.
Not even like have you shaved today? It's more like have you had a shower?
Of course, you never
Like,
shave,
have
so you cannot ask other people whether they have shaved.
I shave, yes. I shave once every like week or something like
Exactly,
this.
and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
not shaving is very beautiful, right?
Correct. So it's not
a
even
different
about
view, right?
it's not even
Yeah.
about shaving. It's about like, okay, has he had a shower? As you know, like that sort, like base level. But where I would make an impression is when I speak to that guy. Right? His proactiveness in coming up with a conversation, or just being humble enough to stretch out the hand and say hi first. You know, like things like these and actions he does is what makes my first impression of them.
So everybody have different social markers, right? In essence, just saying, I love the.
I want to ask a question. Maybe it's just a very female-centric thought thing. But so if you meet someone, and let's talk about personal grooming, not looks, the person has a lot of acne. What's your interpretation?
No interpretation.
Would you see that as, personal grooming, not very clean? Maybe then wash face.
To me, it's just, this person has a lot of acne, which is as literal as it is.
So you don't attribute it as like to a
You're
lapse
very
in
politically
personal
correct. Like,
grooming.
you don't feel like. For me, honestly, when I see someone with a lot of acne, right, it grosses me out. Right, but I'm not blaming the person, right? Maybe they themselves have all sorts of other, because we all went through puberty before, right? You must see all it's crazy the amount of things.
Something's wrong with the hormones, something's wrong with the diet, something's wrong with the way he's taking care of himself. But that would not make this person less professional unless he is a, what do you call that, esthetician?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because like I had a lot of acne growing up, and I had classmates or people who saw me for the first time, and they'll be like, especially all those Chinese New Year aunties, uncles, long time. Usually
not
the
peers.
aunties, not the uncles. They'll say, "Hey, girl, you never wash your face, is it?"
Wow.
I'll be like,
Okay.
Auntie, I wash
"It's
my
not
face
my
more than
personal-"
you wash your floor.
Exactly. I'll be like, you
I
don't know
agree.
how
I
much
think
effort
auntie wash
I
floors
put
every
in.
day. Aunties
I
are
hope
very
you wash your face at least every day as
Aunties
well.
are
But I
very
mean-
serious about floors. Okay, don't compare
That's why
that.
they wash every day. I every day wash my face more than one time.
Okay.
That's like it was very like it pissed me off that they would see it as a lapse in personal grooming when it wasn't at all. It's exactly like what you guys said, right? It's hormones. Sometimes it's stressful period. Sometimes it's you are very emotionally and mentally not at your best state, so it shows up on your skin. Sometimes it's because you went to eat, like for my case, too many chocolates or too much fried food, and then it
Your
shows
genes
up.
might not be in your favor.
Yes, and sometimes it's a gene. So I hate it. As a kid, I hated it when people just use that against me as personal group.
But you do realize that is what first impression is about, right?
Exactly.
There is no basis for you to like substantiate, right? There is no reasoning after, right? That's why it's called first impression, right? You're not given time to explain.
Yeah.
There's no room for rationalization or logicalization of the situation, right? It's just like a lot of pimple, that's it. Move on. Right, and it is a valid, totally valid viewpoint, right? I think you're very politically correct. So it's fine. Oh no, it's okay. It's about the person inside land. Let's be clear, man. That the basis of first impression is what you're giving to the person, in that split second, right? I mean, there's a book, right? Someone said something about like how long
X number
does
of
it take
seconds.
to? Is it 3 seconds?
Some seconds. Yeah, I need to go and find the actual code.
Yeah. It's only a few seconds to form the impression, and it cements within, right? So on that ground, I do believe that how you look matters a lot, right? And it's not about the rationale, the logic, all those things. They come after second, third impression, whatever, right? But the first impression directly, indirectly affects your success.
Yeah.
In itself, right? And the fact is, like, even these days, when I go for event, I also try to dress up a little bit because everybody say, hey, don't so like cha-cha lah, right? Yeah, don't so like cha-cha lah, right? Yeah. No, but when I meet my friends, I still cha-cha lah, right? Like, it's still the same, right? But
Because they are not first impression anymore.
Exactly. So when I slowly accept the reality of what it is, because there are a lot of people, that will say things like, oh, it shouldn't be like that, shouldn't be like that. I don't give a fuck whether is it like should be like that or not. The reality is it's not like that. The reality is first impression counts, right? So you don't need to tell me, oh, shouldn't be. It's like, okay, whatever. That's not the game. That is the game that you hope to play. The reality is it counts. So when I go to events, he says, then you're not going to dress up lah, right? My producer say, it's not very ugly. Please wear a bit nicer.
So now you have to send photo before you go for the event, is it?
No lah, right? Hopefully not to that level, right? Okay, relax, don't. but the idea is it counts. And it's very important.
And if it's an action that you can do to make your life easier, why not? If it doesn't matter to you, but it matters to everyone else in the room, then just do it to make your life easier, to make you to easily score goals in things that you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I want to point out the discrepancy, right? The discrepancy is when people call that as you pacifying everyone else. You know, like there'll be people saying, oh yeah, then you are bending to the system, you are pacifying everybody around you. Then I'm like, what? Why can't it be that I am playing the system, right? Because everybody around expect a certain impression. Then I play lah, right?
Making my life easier, ma?
Yeah, right. So I try to do it a little bit better. And to be fair, right, like beautiful people, handsome people have an easier life, what?
Yes, it's called pretty privilege.
Oh wait, there's a name.
Yes, there's a name for it. Pretty privilege.
There's a name, ah?
Yes. Actually, everywhere, right? You watch Netflix currently trending show called The Mask Girl. In the first episode, they already show in the whole office that the ugly, not so good looking girls. The main lead is supposed to be the not good looking girl, right? And then in her office, there's a very pretty girl, and it shows already how much better she is being treated. Yeah, so I think this pretty privilege very, very real.
So how far should you go to kind of harness this privilege? Like cosmetic surgery, all those things.
In light of the recent case of the woman who went blind from doing dermal fillers.
What case? Yeah. So
it just came out right in the news.
I don't know.
Maybe because I'm female.
I mean, time to time things like that happen, but what was the reason?
So this is the first local case of a woman who has gone blind in both eyes. And she's young, she's married.
Shit.
Yeah, all she did was a dermal filler.
What's a dermal filler?
So it's a filler.
I know dermal, I know filler, put together, I don't understand.
It's a filler, like a liquid
Look beautiful,
that you
dermal.
put into to reduce the
Trophy.
no, like the or your wrinkles, not so deep set.
That's the girl.
Oh, so it's like on the cheeks and
It
stuff
can
like
be
this.
used in many different ways. So there are people who use it to create a V-shaped face because you put more than or you can use it to create a nose bridge. You can use it to create when your face is very sunken or your eyes very sunken, you put the filler so it fills up more. Yeah, so it can be done in many different ways. That's where the skill of the aesthetic doctor comes in.
Sounds like cement on face. You patch things up like that.
Yeah, kind of,
or
I
jelly
guess.
on
Yes.
You're not helping the
kinda.
discourse, okay?
By the way, disclaimer, we're not getting
We're not
sponsored, right?
sponsored.
Okay,
We're not
okay.
sponsored. But
But apparently I just found out from the news because of the incident that dermal fillers are classified by HSA as a Class D medical device, which is highest risk or high risk.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what the news says. I never knew. I mean, when I was going for doctors and exploring dermal fillers, I didn't do it in the end. But when I was exploring, I never knew that it was Class D. Maybe I never read the fine print.
So what happened to this person?
So she's gone blind in both eyes. And the case is being investigated right now.
It was done in a Singapore clinic.
It was done in Singapore. The doctor was supposedly very professional, very skilled, very experienced, accredited.
Check out our other episode about can you trust professionals?
Reference to that episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so everything was safe, but she went blind in both eyes. So they're investigating right now if it was due to a product defect or a skill. The doctor may have poked the wrong place, defect. They need to figure it out. But yes, I mean, in light of how I think it's quite normal that all of us want to look better. With cosmetic procedures becoming more affordable as well, and many of them are non-invasive. They're dermal fillers are not really considered invasive types. So more people are going for these. And then influencers are being sponsored and sharing about how they have gone for it as well. So generally, we do see more people going for such procedures.
And I would say it's even accepted by society nowadays,
Exactly,
right? So that is why.
Yeah, it's very common now. They'll be like, hey, where do you get your nose done, your cheeks done and all? And I have a lot of friends in my circle. My child's friend's mom is an aesthetic doctor who does all these fillers and stuff as well. It's very common now. Yeah,
wow.
but so when this thing happened, it was obviously a shock. And it does raise the question, right? So to what extent do we go to harness that pretty privilege, that handsome privilege?
Or that first impression.
Yeah.
Or that
Essentially,
first
right, essentially.
impression.
So I think you were driving at where I was going with this, right? Essentially, I only do it to play the game. So if you see me at home, you'll be super relaxed, super cha-cha. My
Coffee matters, right?
Yeah, my my what do you call that? My
Facial hair.
Yeah, facial hair will just be good. And I'll be very sad because like I look at your facial hair, I look at Tim's facial hair, like Timothy Mizier, right? The blockhead guys, right? Like wow, like all damn nice, yeah. Like grow naturally and look damn nice. Don't need grooming. You know, like then grooming got a different style, right? For me, it's like, wallah, this is a kacang putih, one patch here, like three here. It's like, what the hell? There's no beauty in this, right? People just assume, hey, you never shave, right? Right? It's very different. But at home, it is like that, right? So I come in to do all the business things in Singapore for like 2 weeks in a month, right? Also. And then once I'm back, I'm just super chill.
Back to the kacang putih stick.
Back to the kacang putih because I'm not playing the game, right? And I think that is the reason why I do what I do, lah. But I will not go to that extent, at least not yet.
I mean, likewise for me as well, right? Like I go to work in shorts.
Yeah, you come recording.
I come recording in shorts. That's
taking over my persona.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's not Decathlon. Don't worry, it's not Decathlon.
He works in
That was
tech.
good.
Yeah, he works in tech, okay? So tech can, but if you work in finance, I don't think this is acceptable.
Finance not
You go
acceptable.
on the beach, you can wear lesser.
Tech sales on top of that, you sell over Zoom. So they don't even see your bottom half.
You can have like suit on top and just underwear underneath. And
I don't even have to. I wear this. Literally, I wear a t-shirt. Yeah. For me, it's, I want people to see who I really am. And that genuinity more than trying to put on a persona unless I have to put on that persona. And I guess that's where I'm coming from with regards to that.
But who you really are also has a certain first impression attached to it, what? So the who you really are impression that you want to give is not someone who dresses up and all that. Is that you're more down to earth. That's what you're going for,
Probably,
right?
yeah.
if that is a positive label, would you take pride in that?
Yeah.
Wait, so let's be clear, right? In other words, a lot of you are going through this motion of building a first impression that is not exactly you as a person. Am I right to say? Like in order to play the game, to impress people, you will build a persona. That is your first impression. You know, so people will have an impression of you, like, oh, but then actually as they get to know you more, you know, they will get a fuller picture, of course, you know, and the full picture can be quite a deviant from how they first know you. Because that is the problem I struggle. You know, for a lot of listeners, right, they listen to me and then they expect me to be like, woohoo, all the time, right? It's like, come on, man, come on, right? Like, wow, right? Woohoo, no, right? So when they meet me in person, they expect me to perform. And I feel a little bit of pressure when I have to perform. You know, when I tell people like who I am, it's, oh, you're the person. You know, it's like, yay.
You won't even you'll be like, yes, it's me.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I just want to go away, you know, like, okay, no, and thanks for loving the podcast, right? Thanks for listening. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just there's a certain expectation that people have and put upon me that on some level I play it, right? So I will play with the impression. But you get to know me, right? You know that I'm a lot more than what you're getting from a first view, right? And it may tarnish your impression of me.
I don't think so, Leh. I feel, at least in my case, right, the first impression I tend to want to build and create is the same as who I really am, but it's just that it's a different me for every occasion. Like, I'm very sloppy at home, of course, because that's my comfort zone, right? But when I go for like a networking event or I have to speak on stage, obviously I'm not going to appear in my FBTs and shorts. I will dress up. I don't like to wear makeup on a regular basis, but when I come on set, of course I'm going to do that because it's a certain impression. But is that not me? I don't really feel this like disconnect, like, oh, I'm not like that. I have to perform. I think it's just a different me at all different times.
Fair. Maybe for me, I do feel it because I do feel like podcasting is a performance. So I am a performer, right? When I go on stage, I have a performance that I pull through, right? That I have to put up, right? And is it like not me? No, there must be some element of me within this performance such that I can perform well.
Can I say that it's you, but you
the
that is
performer,
performing?
you, yeah.
Yes.
No, it's the same as like an actor, right? Like you look at an actor, you think the person act in this role, that means like he's the gambling god. You know, like 双天至尊, right? Then you think Li Nanxing is like that all the time? No, is that him? Or is he trying to, you know, master a certain persona and present based on what stereotypes exist or expects of a gambling, you know, king
Would look like.
to look like?
Or behave like.
Right, and so that is his act, you know. And but him as a person may be drastically different, right? And in fact, I would argue probably is drastically different, right? So I think there's some element of that whole first impression, putting out an act, So in other words, what I'm saying is I'm not against putting out an act, for first impression. But if you are the actor, right, that means you're putting up the act. Firstly, you must be very clear you're putting out an act, right? So that you don't get lost in the act, right? And by extension means you must be strategic with this acting, lah. You must know where you're going with, right? And if the acting collapses, right, the impact is very high, right? Because the persona breaks, the bubble breaks, the impression is totally different, right? Then now the repercussions come in a very serious way.
Who is this guy?
Who is this? What the hell? Who is this person?
We thought this guy was supposed to be this and that.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, exactly, right? So if you are putting out an act, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that the repercussions when the act breaks is big. You must be clear about it. Okay, but you can put out an act to play the game. Everyone is doing it, or I would argue many people are doing it. If you're not doing it, you're so weird, right? On some level, right? But then if you're on the receiving end of an act, right, the receiving end of a first impression, right, maybe on some level we should also give space to realize that, first time, right? Everybody
might
more
be an act.
cordial, this might be an act. Which is why we try to meet a few more times before we make a decision, right? Try to catch someone from a few different, time slots, different perspectives. Like even you go property viewing, you want to view 3 times, right?
You
like,
see daytime, nighttime.
nighttime, afternoon, like got the after school bells. How is it like, right? All that things.
Daytime, nighttime, 7 months.
Yeah. yeah. So, but that's the thing. So many of us are so particular with like buying a property, right? And we look at it from like so many angles, right? Ask friend, how is it? But then when we try to evaluate a person, right? A lot of us, we don't carry that level of rigor in trying to evaluate a person. And the first impression becomes everything.
I think because also we must understand first impressions are there and they're helpful because they play into stereotypes and assumptions, right? So when we are very busy, we don't have the time of the day, we count on these first impressions to help us gauge whether or not to continue the interaction with that person.
Making faster decisions.
Yeah, correct. But then of course, if it's a colleague, like, I will happen to see this person every day lah. That's the nature of our work, right? Then whatever the first impression is doesn't matter because later on,
there'll be another impression.
yeah, there will be space. I'm forced to work with that guy whether or not the first impression is good or bad. So there is that space and opportunity for that to correct itself. But may not be the case of everyone. Like if you go to a networking event and there's a very sloppy guy who look like he never showered, you probably don't want to go there to shake his hand, right? But maybe actually he's the most important guy in the room. But you would have not gone there and take charge of the opportunity because you didn't recognize it and you don't have another opportunity to get to talk to the person.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying Wise and Shine so far. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and for us to continue to do this show so that you become a tad bit wiser every week, you gotta like, share, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm, but even more importantly, if you can, comment in the comment section below, let us know your thoughts and also some questions that you would love us to answer. Yep, now back to the show.
By extension, then I would like to ask, like, how do you salvage that first impression? Okay, let's say, because the first impression cannot salvage already, right? First impression out already, out means gone already. Right? Crash already. So then what do you do about it? Because I think a lot of times when I'm trying to like connect with somebody, I already have some sort of a digital reference on them. Right? I read the articles, I read what they write. That's the only reason why I will connect with them, right? Like, I think they're doing some cool stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then I want to talk to them, and then maybe the first impression not so good because my grammar not good, right? So I write like not so sweet. That's not my main medium, right? I don't write the best, right? Then I write. Then the person think like, what the hell is this? But very cha-cha, right? So never interact with me. A lot of people will give up, And then they form an impression of the other person very snob, right? There's a general stance to it, right? But I will take a different path. I'll go and see who is a common connection. I say, hey, can you help me connect with the person? And usually when that ground comes in, right, it's very easy, right? Because like Rak becomes my reference. Right, then he will tell Sian, like, hey, actually he's damn cool one, just talk to him, right? Which is true. How do you go about salvaging like
actually,
a
maybe before we go
impression?
to how to salvage, which I think is a great topic, we should definitely talk about that. But maybe to be able to salvage, you must be able to recognize that it's spoiled in the first place.
Yes, to use the word salvage, that means it's bad, right?
Yeah. But if you are the one who, let's say like you have a bad impression on me and you obviously won't tell me, how will I know?
Maybe
how will I recognize in order to even go and salvage? Are there any signs that our listeners and us can look out for?
is that to be clear? If it's not clear, is it even important? All right. The question is, if it's not clear, right? That means you're not. It's not clear to you that this person has like you, right?
Bad first
impression of you. Then is it even important for you to think about how to salvage it?
Let's say, for instance, a client.
If it's someone that you really, really want to close the deal.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't realize that they have a bad impression of you. What can we do to... It's not like today we ask, hey, so what was your first impression of us? Right? But what can we do to kind of figure out whether we left a good impression on that person so that we can start correct?
I can share. I got a very good story for this. So, we work with a lot of financial brands, right? And there's this one brand that we work with, right? They had quite a few change of management. Of course, I cannot say who's the brand, right? They had quite a few change of management. So there was this period of time when they cancelled our recording thrice, right? I was very annoyed, right? And this new person that came in to take over the marketing, right? Of course, because that's the only people we talk to, marketing and comms, right? So take over, emailed me, hi, blah, 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 I would like to connect, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, how nice to meet you. But just saying, right, this does not move. Like this is not acceptable. This way of doing things does not work with us, right? The ball is in your court now. I'm waiting for you to reply me, right? So, and I think it's valid because it's 3 times already, right? And it's as if like we got no other schedules to meet, right? But then I never gotten any reply from them after. Okay, so I thought like, okay, Lord, then I just wait for you. I really say very clearly, right? The ball is in your court. You want to play, you play. Don't want to play, it's okay. I just sit here and wait.
Was it a new guy that's reaching out again, or?
Yeah, like the new boss, right? The new boss reached out, and I don't know who made the decision of cancelling the recordings, but the new boss reached out and I just straightforward say, hey, this is cannot, and I think my email was very blunt in that sense, right? But no vulgarities, no nothing. I never score anyone. I just say, this does not gel. Ball is in your court. I wait for you. Okay. Many months later, another person from another media company came in and tell me that, hey, right, this person, right, say you very snobs, yeah, you like artists like that, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Because that was the first conversation he had with you.
No. This other person is a good friend of mine.
I'm referring to the person who emailed you.
The one whom you emailed.
Yes.
Like the ball in your court.
Yes. So the person had no other impression of me other than that one email. And the person went around forming this whole story that I'm a snob, blah, 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 right? And it took a big round, very big round before it came to me. Hey, the person say you like that.
And by then it would have been a bit too late to do damage control,
yes,
right?
Yes. So that means the damage is done and I have no plans to control. So I already moved on. It's already there. It's, and it is what it is, right? So as much as it is sour on their front, it's also sour on my front, right? And then the question is like, is there a need to go about salvaging the situation, right? And in my worldview, at this point in time, given all the things I need to do, this is not my priority, right? And I just will not solve it, right? Unless it's a big requirement, like something is coming. Hey, please go and talk about it, right? And there are 101 ways to go about doing this, right? Whether is it, Don, can you introduce, we have a cup of coffee with the person, mediate, get a mediator, or like initiate, put out your hand first, be the gentleman, right? It's fine, right? There are many ways to go about, and I think conflict resolution in itself and ways, right? Is there, right? But the fact is that this one email first impression went so far.
So the question is, how do we salvage first impression? Is that what you're asking? Honestly, based on what I've encountered or stories I've heard, there's no point salvaging a first impression. You end up, most likely, I'm thinking from what I've tried or what I've seen or what I've heard, you end up looking like a tryhard. Like you either end up looking like a tryhard or you couldn't change anything. So why not just ditch the whole idea of salvaging the first impression and try to create new impressions?
Yeah, why not be a tryhard? Just go.
That's a really good point.
I think that's a fair point.
How do you prevent yourself looking like a tryhard trying to salvage your first impression?
Exactly. The person will be like, trying so hard to impress, correct, why, what's the agenda?
Because I think ultimately the idea is the first impression is only that split second interaction with this person, right? But eventually, if you all get a second chance and a third chance to interact, right, then this first impression on some level will fizzle out, right?
Yes.
Because there are more and more data points to come to...
for the person to rethink, maybe I was wrong about him or her in the first place.
Or reinforce that this person is like that, right? And on some level, sometimes I think what we also do a lot is we draw parallels from other people, right? same name also is a parallel, right? I don't know.
Yeah. No, for some reason, right?
Like Vanessa, right? Like when I hear the word, like, I was like, ooh, Vanessa.
There was a certain
That
image
is
based on
scary.
the
I
people
got
you
it.
actually know.
But shout
with
out
that
to you
name.
if you are Vanessa listening. You can put in the comment section and say that you're not. Okay, you're not.
I just cracked this joke like 1 hour ago. Like my colleague were looking at an appointment coming in. So the guy's name is Bob. Like shout out to all Bobs out there. So like it's a new trainee and then it's her first session with this Bob guy. So she was saying the previous person who serviced this person said that this Bob had a shoulder issue. I just said, sounded like a Bob problem.
No, exactly, right?
I just cracked that joke.
No, exactly. So names already are loaded in a certain way, given other people's experience with all these other people, right? And you really cannot help but it is what it is, right? So
instead of trying to salvage the first impression, I think the better point that you made us realize is how can we fight for these other chances to interact with this person so that we can give them more data points.
I mean, I think speaking from some experience in sales, right, you can always give a bad impression right at the start with the first one.
Especially because they come in with a certain preconceived notion of
Correct.
salespeople.
I mean, no need to know my name. They already say, "Alamak, this guy want to sell me something."
Yeah.
Right. And that can go two ways, right? First, just be blunt and say, "I'm here to sell you something, yes or no." And that will actually either say yes or no, but either way you get respect from that person because you're not beating around the bush. But anyway, say I had this call with this person and I made a really bad impression. The two things I would do, number one, I would, if they don't respond to my email within X number of days, don't pick up my calls, I will respond going, have I done something wrong? Right? And then see if they respond. More often than not, like what you said, they don't really respond either. So then you would try and find other people in that company to try and get you to speak to them. And that's roughly what I would try and do if you're looking to salvage that situation for that specific person that you need. And whether that specific person is integral to your plans, that's another point as well. So if it's not integral, then are you going to spend the time to actually get that right?
yeah, fair.
That's a great point, yeah. Find other people to speak to that person, like the mediators, right?
Yeah.
Find the people in between.
And to be clear, right, I don't think everybody is out to be a nice first impression, yeah. Right? Like I went in calls to try to be an asshole as a first impression.
Because you were trying to protect.
Because I was trying to do something, right?
Right.
So one of my guys were getting bullied up, down, left, right? Just getting all these messages and email and all this rage, right? So my impression, like when I go into the call and go into the meeting, I'm here to set a serious first impression. I'm here to tell you don't play around. Right. So when I went in, I never let the person say much, like the person just say a few things. I was like, okay, I know what you're saying. So let me tell you, right? This is how it's going to done. Blah, 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 blah. Of course, then it's a skill set, right? Back and forth like tango like that, right? Dun, 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 how not to break it, but like it's very hard. There's no clear direction to it. But what do you hope to achieve in that meeting? What do you hope to do? And I think that is the part about first impression. It's about being conscious of what do you want to do in this scenario and then build that first impression. Be strategic about it, right? And not all just like, oh, nice, approachable, friendly, like nice guy. Like nice guys finish last, is it? Right? So
I think that's a really great point. Like people also often overlook the importance of preparing for a first impression on different occasions. So maybe it would be good practice if we can, I'm sure the salespeople already do this, right? Like you want to go in to sell to client A versus client B, you prep yourself differently, especially if like client A, let's say you're here, a manager. Client B is the CEO of a company. You want to go in with a different first impression so they actually listen and respect you. Same thing as when I go on stage, if I'm asked to talk to millennials or students, I go in with a very different vibe versus if I see the crowd, a lot of elderly people. They might think that I'm just like this young bimbo girl, so I have to dress differently, wear my blazer and stuff. So we need to prepare and I think like do that legwork first in order to better have that chance of
It's
securing the first impression that we want them to have of
It's
us.
true. And it benefits the whole thing after that.
Yes,
really.
correct,
It's like you go in
correct.
with a bunch of old people like, yo, come on, yo.
Yeah, they'll be like,
yo, get down to the point. Young pang, yo.
rude.
Yeah, right. Then you go, Gen Z also
Youngsters
be like,
nowadays.
wow. Don't go there. Don't end up there. Don't end up there. Okay, fair. So I think at the end, I think we have come to establish that first impression is important, and it's about being strategic about it, and if there's no real need to be strategic, then you don't need to lah, right? But is there any other last things you want to add about first impression?
Yeah, first impressions, I think to point out, it's not necessarily appearance alone, right? It's formulated over X number of factors, and each of them matter differently to different people. So I think preparing for who you're going to meet and wanting to impress them and knowing what factors they are impressed by is of key importance.
Fair. Like if you write a good article, I will pick it up.
There you go.
Right.
Even if you wear Decathlon shorts.
Even you wear Decathlon short and singlet and
If
yoga
he's
mat.
there to write article, we don't judge him based on what he's wearing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, and I've picked up so many people based on what they write on LinkedIn. Right. I read the post, was like, okay, this person knows his shit. Let's get the person on. Right. Yeah. And you?
I think that I want to talk a little bit about putting up an act. It is okay, however, if you are putting up an act to become something that is not you, then it's dangerous, because what if the scenario breaks, and then you need to be prepared for what you have promised in your act up first impression. So what if you couldn't deliver, and that is where your second, third and fourth impression becomes horrible. So it's a lot more important to have decent, just don't trash your first impression, and then you can build up even more trust with the people, rather than, you have amazing first impression, this guy is super solid and things like that. Then when you actually work with him, then you realize that he's just that.
I teach you something, right? So I don't like to drink. I hate partying. I don't like to drink. I'm the one drink guy.
泡茶 guy.
Yeah, I'm the 泡茶 guy, right? I hate to drink. But sometimes certain scenarios calls for that, right? So when I'm there, I will not be the party booer, I will be like, yo guys, how are you? Let's still do a little bit of that, right? And 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If I think that the person is worth my time, I will do it 3 times, 4 times. But I will then try to pull them out of their environment. So I will be like, hey, how about we meet for morning coffee lah? Or how about we meet for tea? Oh, hey, there's this restaurant around. It's quite
Something
nice.
that's a lot more comfy for you.
Yes. So you slowly pull them out of that. And then you form a different interaction with this individual, a different space to hang out. And then slowly don't need to drink already. Right? Then you can say, hey, sorry, I'm not feeling too well. I'm not drinking. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Slowly they forget it. Everything is coffee now. Right. So there is a gradual strategy to change the person. Where do they meet you? How is it like? So it can be done. It can be done, right? But you cannot do that for everyone because it's too tiring. There's limited resources and time. So you must be very selective of who you use that on. Yeah.
It's worth the effort to do so.
Yeah,
then
it is worth the effort. Then you do it. Yes.
I like his tip of finding people around who can help to change or speak on your behalf, so it can help to improve the other person's wrong and negative perception of you. I thought that was a really good tip.
Yeah, fair.
In sales, that's called multi-threading, but okay.
There's a word for it.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. Not threading here like threading. Right? It's like multi-threading. Yeah. So
and I also like how at the beginning of this episode, all of y'all said in my acne question, all of you were more civil, very nice about it, and not a personal grooming thing. Yeah, I think the importance of personal grooming in first impression cannot be understated. But at the same time, we also need to recognize that some people just have a different look, a different gene. No, and if we don't blame that.
Yeah, and if we want to go down the rabbit hole of that, right, then have you groomed your voice? Have you groomed your social media platform? Have you groomed? Because to be fair, it is not just how you look. Sometimes this person looks great, but open a mouth, minus 50 points. Immediately, right? It's so horrible. Often. Yeah, right. So how if you really want to play the game, right? How far do you go? I think that's the question, right? So yeah, thank you for your time. Hope you guys find it interesting. Please put a tip below on the comment section, or what is your first impression tip, or what really jive with you. So we hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye.